Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about Aquaman. This is the new 52 run of Aquaman. Here's issue number 1. It was back in 2011, I believe. Yeah, it's 2011. So the DC was getting a little kind of fed up with their continuity and wanted to try something new, right? And they kind of reworked their whole lineup, and they dubbed it the New 52, right? It's kind of a little bit of a retro branding, if you will, or even a retcon where they could just go back and talk about the beginning stories again and maybe throw a little bit more updated flair on it. It kind of worked. Some parts of it worked. Mostly it failed, and there were a lot of people kind of upset with how their heroes turned out, all the heroes they grew up with. So they fixed it. They said they were sorry, and they put out a book called Rebirth. And from the Rebirth, which was centered pretty much on the Flash, and I may get around to doing a review of the Rebirth book, and it just reset everything. So it put everybody back, for the most part, to where they were. They kept all the good things from New 52 and brought back the things that everybody loved. But during the New 52, everybody kind of looked into a new direction, and I don't think a lot of people were jumping or chomping at the bit, rather, to write Aquaman. Aquaman's kind of a running, or I guess you could call it a swimming joke, that especially for shows like Robot Chicken or the Justice Friends from way back, they all make fun of Aquaman. Everybody makes fun of Aquaman. He dries out. He's weak. He can't hold his own in any type of fight unless it is underwater. He fights against oil spills and renegade shrimp monsters. So Jeff Johns jumped on this. All right, so this book's written by Jeff Johns, penciled by Ivan Reyes, and he kind of took that head on, right? Like, he took this Aquaman as more of a joke than a hero, and he ran with it, right? Everybody says, oh, he talks to fish. Yeah, he talks to fish. And then here you'll see that he makes mention of that. First off, I want to look at the cover is brilliant. All the artwork in here is very, very good looking. Especially, you'll see a bunch of the aquatic scenes, and I think books like Aquaman and Swamp Thing that have so much to do with the environment can be breathtakingly beautiful, as far as, especially their splash pages. Okay, if you don't know, splash page is just like the artwork covers both pages, right? It's just one. Generally, it's one solid panel, and it either shows like a big dramatic scene or an intro, if you will, of like a new character or the main title character, or some big action sequence. Right? Maybe the hero and the villain lock up for the first time, and so that they put that on a full spread, and they call it the splash page. So in a lot of Aquaman's books, there's so much potential for these huge, elaborate, beautiful, like almost tapestries. And you'll see when we get to it. Right? I feel like I'm going on and not talking about the book here. Okay, so as I mentioned before, Jeff Johns took this thing by the reins and brought it to heel, really. Like this, the intro, the New 52 Aquaman led off so well. It was borderline Game of Thrones underwater, and it was just filled with such intrigue. But let's get to it. You're right. I'm sorry. Okay, so here we start here at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, what appears to be some sort of crevice, and slowly it starts to get closer and closer, and you see these creatures popping out of it. And pretty gruesome, right? It's your standard things that live 40,000 leagues under the sea or whatever. Now this is a little weird. So it shows like some talking panels, and it's nonsensical, right? It's just little black splotches. But then they translate it in the next box right here to the side. Now, used to in the olden books, you'd see like, I don't know, like little brackets. Like it would just be written in English and then have little brackets, and there'd be an asterisk that says translated from whatever. whatever the language they spoke. But this one, they give a thought, or not a thought. They give a word balloon, but then they put a translated box next to it. I thought that was a little bit weird. But altogether, it looks okay. It doesn't take too much away from the art. And there's a lot of art on these pages. And it's dark, but it's still really good. You can see there's a lot of anglerfish features. Or if you've ever watched any Discovery Channel show where they go 2 or 3 atmospheres deep and you start seeing some of those weird fish down there, this is very true to form for that. So they did a really good job here. All right. So we move towards the land, right? Because Aquaman is a book of two worlds. And you see this like a little police chase. Okay, we're going on. Driving around. That's obviously where they stole an armored car. So you got the bad guys in here, and they got their guns out, and they're yelling at each other. Adrenaline's pumping. You see it cutting through traffic. Now this is a little bit weird, right? Because this cop's like he's got his pistol out. He's in the passenger seat, and his buddy's driving. They're really focused, right? And he's telling them not to lose them, right? Which is kind of obvious. But he's got his pistol out. He's like holding it right in front of his face. Now we were always taught like you don't drive around with your pistol slung. Like if you do hit somebody or somebody hits you, you get into a wreck, that pistol's loose. Right, you really kind of want to holster that. Now for the bad guys, right, there are no rules for bad guys. So they can do whatever they want, but I think cops have some rules. I don't know. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm not a cop. But, so just this big streak, boom, right there. Hits in the middle of the street, right in front of these bad guys. We're going to look, and that is an intro. Right, now that's how you do an intro, especially for the main character. They're front and center. You've got a couple of titles here. DC Comics proudly presents The Trench Part 1. Okay, and then you got your full lineup of creators right here. Look out for that. I don't know, that QPR code isn't going to do anything. It's for gum. Okay, so a couple of seconds. Take a look at that. Aquaman, created by Paul Morris. So there you go. He's front and center. He's sleek. He's angular. He's muscular. He's got his trident, which really is not a trident, right? I think the fundamental thing of being a trident is to have 3 prongs, and this one's got a couple more. So I don't know what that would be, but whatever. I guess it's it's a family heirloom. All right, so that's awesome. Front page. Okay. The bad guys, they start laughing, right? So they're driving, trying to getting away from the cops, right? The cops are a serious threat to these people. So they're worried about the cops. See, the last guy was nervous. He's like, trying to get away. All right, go, man, go, right up in here. He's real nervous about the cops. But then a guy comes flying from who knows where, lands in the middle of the street, and stands there like this. I don't know. I might be a little intimidated. But these guys aren't. They're not intimidated at all because he's like Aquaman, and they just start laughing. Okay. The police are a little confused too. At least he put his gun away before he started to investigate. I don't know. Maybe they were getting into the car. He just got into the car, still had his gun out, hadn't holstered it yet. Maybe that was the deal. All right, but this is the guy's intimidating. Aquaman is standing right there. They're going to try to overrun him. Right? He's like, floor it. Yep, look at that. Okay, so back in the day, right, to kill buffalo and bear, well, maybe not buffalo, but definitely bear. All right, they would use pole arms, right, spears and such, and they would brace them against the ground or a rock or the bottom of their foot and let the weight of the bear or whatever animal was bearing down on them help them kill the bear. And it seems to me that that's kind of what he's about ready to do now. I don't know that he's going to have to brace it on anything, but that's the look of determination right there. You're not getting past this guy. Okay, boom. Sorry about the glare. I try to find good spots in my house where there's not too much glare on the books, especially the new books. They're really glossy. It's hard to, there we go, that's a good spot. Look at that. He's gonna upend that armored truck. Like it's nothing. Okay. So he flips that thing over, crashes on its back. All right, the other guys in there, they're all shook up. Yeah, they thought they were just gonna zoom past this guy. Nope. Oh, they're gonna come right out. Gonna come right out, taking pop shots at him, right? Like he just upended a truck. That's crazy. And it's gonna shoot at him. But you know, I guess all regular people have is bullets. But doesn't even affect him. I take that back. It does affect him a bit. He gets cut right above the eye from what appears to be an AK-47. All right, so what's that? What is that? 7.62 by 39. That's a pretty herky bullet. You know, like the thing's got some power behind it, and it just kind of clips him right there on the eyebrow. My eyebrows are pretty sensitive. I think that would hurt a lot. But he doesn't seem to mind it. It's more of an annoyance, really. Oh, he's about to take it to him. Look at that. All right, let me see if I can get this without a glare. Oh yeah, he just grabs him by the collar. It's like, dude, I don't even know why you bother. He just tosses him to the side. He goes crashing. Now he did just kind of screw up this police car, so that, you know, they're liable to arrest him if he keeps doing stuff like that. The cops ask him, first and foremost, they're like, what are you doing here? What's going on? Why is Aquaman here? And then they don't know what to do, right? He's just like, hey, I'm here to help. And the one guy, they don't know what to do, because the guy asks him if he needs a glass of water, right? So again, this is Jeff Johns taking all those jokes, old jokes about Aquaman, and just kind of bringing them to light. He's like, you need a glass of water? Oh, there's an awkward moment, and everybody's like, looks at the guy like, Jeff, shut up. It's the new guy. He's like, no, I don't need any water. And he's just gone. He just showed up here to wreck your car, to flip those dudes over, and then, yep, I'm off to save the day somewhere else. Upstaged by Aquaman. The boys at the station are never going to live this down. They talk about getting upstaged. Like he did absolutely everything that they couldn't with minimal effort. And they're like, oh man, he upstaged us. We got upstaged by Aquaman. It was like, you know, it's like Jeff Goldblum came out there and did that. And like, what? That's understandable. But it's Aquaman. You know, he's a founding member of the Justice League. Come on, he's king of your planet. All right, so moving on forward. It's just like a little diner scene. Everything's kind of calm and people are chatting. And then I think there's I'd imagine like a door, like a little ding going off right here, like ching, as he walks in. There's Aquaman commanding attention of the room. All right, this is royalty. All right, this guy's, he starts feeling guilty, right? Because it's a seafood restaurant. And this guy right here, he's all like, oh man, we got all of his friends locked up. What do we do? So I thought this was great. He took all these like stereotypes, which is what they were. They were good. They were stereotypes of Aquaman. And then they brought them to light. Then they send the waitress over to come talk to him as he's sitting there chilling out with a menu. Probably trying to order himself a IPA. Something mountainy. Something earthy. And okay, so she starts asking what he wants. First, she starts apologizing for how she looks, which I think is that's a very honest move, right? Like, what do you do when you meet? If Aquaman walks into your bar, all right, what do you do? You start mumbling and apologizing for things that have no bearing on anything. And then he orders the fish and chips. He's like, I'll have the fish and chips. It's like you can't get the fish and chips because you talk to fish. That's why not. And this is awesome right here. What he says right here, this is great. And it's good writing, and Jeff Johns is, again, really taking the reins on this. And I'm going to read this verbatim. It says, "I don't talk to fish." Okay, and there's a slight pause as we move forward to the next upper panel. It's like, yeah, you do. Aquaman talks to fish. Everybody knows that. It's wrong, man. Fish don't talk. Their brains are too primitive to carry on a conversation. So what do? I reach into their midbrains and telepathically push them to help me out. Squids, shark, eels, it's all the same. So dolphins are another story. All right. So basically, he's saying, I don't talk to fish. I command them. That's what he says in so many words. All right. Except for, I guess dolphins are chatty. You know, they are the highest evolved life forms on the planet, right? So, okay, moving on. He gets a compliment from this guy. Turns out to be a research guy. Your shiny orange shirt, looking for attention. I just got done with some Aquaman something, riding whales and swimming with sea lions. Yep, that's exactly what I was doing. So this moves forward. You get a little bit of a flashback, and you see kind of why, and what I'm assuming is this bar or this restaurant, a flashback of young little Arthur Curry and his dad, who is not blonde. So, I mean, maybe it's the royal bloodline that makes him so blonde. His eyebrows are brown, so maybe he gets that from his dad. His mother is definitely blonde. Absolutely. So this guy talks to him. Yeah, here he goes. Says, my father used to bring me here. And that's why he picked this spot. So I'm not sure if this is his first time coming here since he's been, Aquaman or not, but, oh, sorry, I'm out of frame here. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is his first time as an adult, or maybe this is his first time in full-on Aquaman garb. So he talks to this guy for a little bit, and he's basically, I don't know, he's just running down. He's giving him the what for, like the third degree, if you will. He talks about. He said, my dad used to bring me here, and he's all, your human dad, not your Atlantean mother, who's the queen of Atlantis, if Atlantis exists, right? And he's kind of questioning him. And he said, yeah, it is. That's right. He's like, so you're pretty much the only one who believes that. And this dude goes on and on. He talks about Mara, who, if I'm being honest, and I may have a thing for redheads that I don't know about, my two favorite women in comics are Mara, Aquaman's wife, and Mary Jane Watson, Spider-Man's one-time wife, sometimes girlfriend. Yeah, that's in a weird spot right now. But yeah, so they're very strong. They're very powerful in their own right. Mara's powerful, like, period. She's powerful. This guy even goes on to talk about how he heard that she's stronger than Wonder Woman. And Aquaman's already, he's already past the annoyance. All right, and this guy's really starting to bother him. He tries to say, hey, man, look, I just came here to have lunch. I stopped an armored car like 6 seconds ago. I just want to hang out. And this dude presses him even more, and he's like, how does it feel to be Aquaman? And he goes over here, he's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, you're the butt of every joke. Haven't you heard all the jokes and seen all the skits from Saturday Night Live or YouTube? On YouTube? So how does it feel to be a punchline? How does it feel to be a laughing stock? How does it feel to be nobody's favorite superhero? No, like he cares, right? He's the freaking king of the planet. They just swings his, I don't know, decadent? What's a 5-pointed trident? Man, I need to learn Latin. And he just kind of, I don't know, a little bit threatening, not much, but he's just showing him, hey, look, I got this giant weapon. I could really crush you. Don't bother me. He yells, keep the change, to the waitress as he walks out. Didn't get any food. Wasted his time trying to live somewhat of a normal evening with his friends. She asked him what she's supposed to do with it. He's like, put your kids through college. It's like a couple of doubloons. Probably worth a pretty penny on the black market. And then, hey, he just kind of leaves. This guy tries to worm away. I feel like he's made everybody else uncomfortable as well. Like they were kind of starstruck a little bit at Aquaman. Maybe he's a local legend. But here you go to a nice big panel. See, like the environmental shots in these books are great. So it's a nice big lighthouse in the Amnesty Bay, where Arthur Curry was born and raised by his father. Nice dark background. It's really good. Moving on. He's standing on the rocks, remembering back to his dad. He actually learns about responsibility here from his dad. So, and then a little splash of water, right? And then all of a sudden, Mara's right behind him. So he's alone, deep in his thoughts. Splash of water. There she is. Okay, so she's kind of wrapping her arms around him, and does like a very, like, I don't know, loving wife thing to say. She's like, "It's getting late. You know, come to bed, honey. It's time for bed." It's a very loving. I don't know. I thought that was super sweet, and it actually has a lot of emotion in it. Like I said, Jeff Johns is a great writer. He really pulled this together and took the running jokes of Aquaman, brought them front and center, and challenged them. It's great. All right. So she's like, "Come back to bed. I've made my decision." All right. So now you got to play the game. Oh, I wonder what decision it's going to be. And it's basically that he's living between two worlds. So he's the king of Atlantis, right? Born to, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say he's the heir to the Atlantean throne through his mother, who was the queen of Atlantis. But he's also regular old Lighthouse Joe Schmo, Arthur Curry, lives up here. Lighthouse is a very important job, man. They protect our waterways. She kind of gives him the whole, "Hey, man, whatever you want, just, you know, let me know, and we'll do it. We'll do it together. This is great." Loving relationship. Okay, so we end that note and strike up a different chord over here, off in what appears to be very cold water. If anybody's ever been out on the ocean, anybody has any like type of job out on the ocean, they know how cold it can get out there, especially when we're doing jobs like fishing or something like that. So I don't know. There's no snow or there's no flurries, but this just chills me to the bone looking at these guys. Right? Like they got their beanies on, they got their thick coats on, they got their thick gloves on, just hanging out, doing their job. One guy feels a little bit of an awkward tug on his pole. Oh, he thinks he got one, and it's gone, right? He gets pulled off into the water himself. You see him go in. Now, a lot of fishermen, especially on these big rigs, they'll have, if they're running like the high test lines and stuff like that, doing sport fishermen, they'll have hook-ins. So they'll actually like hook in their fishing poles to like a belt. So he didn't do that here, but I guess it pulled it quick enough to throw him into the water with it. So this has actually made me like twice as cold reading through this. It's already cold over here. It's nice and chilly. In the water, get out of here. All right, that's done. The hypothermia is already setting in. Okay, they go to throw him in the life rings. They're looking for him. And in the spot where he went in, I don't know, it looks like, I guess it can't be blood, right? It's kind of glowing. What do you got here? This is interesting. I'm not sure what that is. A piece of him? That's got to be a piece of him, right? Let's see. There's his hat. Kind of hair right there. All right, whatever. Moving forward. And up comes these guys. The yet to be named monstrous villains of the deep. Okay. Yep. Then more start popping up And then you go back to the clicking, click, 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 click. There's food up here. Oh man. It came from the trench, to be continued. So that's the book. I think there's just a couple of, it's just advertisements for some new stuff. I was actually a big fan of the New 52 Flash run as well. And I'll be happy to talk about that some later. I'm sure I will if I get around to it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Aquaman. Okay, so one of my favorite all-time superheroes, and not because I'm such a fan of the underdog. Well, maybe it is because I'm such a fan of the underdog. Who knows? I like it because I like it. The aquatic environments are so good sometimes. It's just really worth staring at. Like, I can't think, there's not many books where I'll flip through it and then stop on a page and just look at it for a minute. Most of the time I'm all about just the reading straight through, and I'll read a whole book and then kind of go back and flip through it later just to admire the artwork. So for me, the story comes first and then the art. But it is a visual medium, so art has to be at least decent. Not like some stuff I've been seeing lately. But these guys like Reyes, guys like Jim Lee, Perez, brilliant. I don't know if Reyes is brilliant. Yeah, Reyes is brilliant. I'll go ahead and do that. Jeff Johns, great writer. Took Aquaman. It gets better from here. Let me know if we want a part 2. You know what? I don't care. I may do number 2 anyway. Just depends on what I got. I got a bunch of books to read, and I want to read them to people. Not really read. I'm not sure what copyright. All right, I'm rambling. Okay, goodbye.